Welcome back, everyone, to this next game, the second series of the losers bracket between Fate Esports and Exordium. On the left side of the screen, we have Fate Esports, skillganon on Ruckus, Arcos on Grok, Unbelivable on Pip, Menschmeyer on Evie, and Smutney on that Barrack once again. And on the right side, who do we have, Fox?
We have Kadun on Barrack, Mikaela on Androxus, Donavan on Pip, FrozenArtz on Ruckus, and Mayaro on Grok. And let's take a quick look at the builds before we get to this initial capture point, which has spawned at Mines. Anything interesting you're noticing here?
I can't see anything out of the ordinary. We do have Mayaro on that Healing Rain build in comparison to Arcos. But first point will be coming out in this fight. It looks like Fate Esports setting up on the point with the rest of Exordium, setting up on the platforms and windows above, trying to get what they can done. Menschmeyer dives in, but doesn't manage to pick anyone up. skillganon taken very low. They go 1-for-1. FrozenArtz taken down as well, but it looks like Fate's starting to lose ground here.
Fate are indeed starting to lose ground as Mayaro is going to get some capture point control in just a moment. Unbelievable on that Pip. Gonna try and drop some damage around the corner, but it's not quite enough. Barricade, it comes back up again. And now, because there are no cauterize cards online at this point, we'll see that the healing totem on the side of Mayaro is very effective at healing this team back to full. The points are going to equalize shortly. It's up to Fate to come back with the respawns and force them back off once more.
Yeah, the rest of Exordium starting to try and do what they can on this defense, but Fate pushing up there past the good choke point. FrozenArtz is behind Smutney, who managed to get on the point just in time. Mikaela, with almost no health, gets out just by the inch, but skillganon coming around to pick that one up. Kills going either way, but it looks like Exordium still going to hold on to this one. Kadun taken very low. skillganon picks that one up. Arcos and skillganon go in, but they get wiped, and the point goes to Exordium on this one.
In that previous engagement, we saw skillganon go in deep, get one kill, grab the health nugget, managed to stay alive for just long enough to contest the point for a moment later, but it was 1 versus 3. Ultimately, there is no contesting that. Without an ultimate online, it didn't look like anybody did have those ultimates online. No, skillganon only sitting at 82% ult charge, and now it's up to Exordium to take this high ground control, and they're advancing up there quite rapidly, but pushed out by the great defense already set up in place by Fate Esports.
We're seeing these differences in builds, by the way, as well. We've got, of course, as I mentioned, that Arcos and Mayaro, the difference with the Invigorate and the Healing Rain. And break down why you might want to do that, or you might want to avoid it.
So the advantage of Healing Rain is, of course, that you gain 6% of your health, maximum health per second whilst within a totem's radius. I mean, that's incredible healing, but with the changes in closed beta patch 25 to the burn card Cauterize, now applying 100% anti-heal to all players ticked by weapon shots with from the player who has that card equipped, I mean, that Healing Rain card becomes pretty much useless. So whilst it is very useful during the first capture point, I wouldn't actually be surprised if we saw Mayaro drop an ultimate, drop that Tempest to force this payload through to conversion, and then potentially change decks, as of course when you do change decks, you lose all of your ultimate charge.
Oh, huge push coming through there from the side of Fate Esports in through the treehouse. They pick up a triple. The payload was pushing, but they halt that immediately after that. Menschmeyer picks up another one, skillganon, and that's a clean ace for the side of Fate Esports.
Dominant play coming from Fate Esports, retaining that high ground control, which we've remarked again and again is so devastatingly important. Unbelievable, able to do work with this Pip, arcing those shots down into the crowd of Exordium, and Mikaela, who's been dominant on this Androxus in previous games for Exordium, is just being forced back and back and back. We're seeing so much defense come out, but there's a chicken coming through.
Huge chicken comes out, and skillganon and Arcos push forwards, but meanwhile FrozenArtz is in the back line. He's behind them. Arcos turns around in time to pick that one up, and it's frags going either way. It looks like in the favor of Fate Esports right now, as it's 2 versus 3. Arcos forces Mikaela away. Donavan and Mikaela walking back, licking their wounds, and getting ready to group up as a team to push through again. And here's the issue, they're setting up to try and push through as a team, and they're never committing to it.
Oh, Mikaela just evaporated there, frozen in place, wiped out by the dual fire from skillganon running this gunship Ruckus, devastating. Donavan can't follow up on that, and look where the payload is now. The payload is actually retreating away from the capture point at which it originally spawned, because it had gotten past the point of no return, and now the advantage is heavily in favor of the defenders that they've been able to defend for so long so successfully.
it's just getting further and further away from them. Skillganon pops the Hexafire. He picks up one. Kadun does manage to get a return kill. Arcos trying to do what he can to stay alive just there, but he gets picked up. Mikaela gets that one. And they're starting to push the payload. Overtime is coming out here for the side of Exordium. They could still make a great push with this one if they can stay up and alive, but Kadun gets taken down. Unbelivable picks up a second one with FrozenArtz, and it looks like the side of Exordium going to get wiped here.
Donavan does indeed actually go up onto the top side, drop damage down, knocking out Unbelivable, who was devastating the enemy team from up on high, but now it's up for Mayaro and Unbelivable to keep this payload ticking into overtime. In fact, Donavan is retreating. They're going to give it up. The defense has failed, and it's 2-1 lead Exordium over Fate Esports.
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier today, that's a huge lead coming forwards. If you can get that defense coming through, it's 400 credits coming out for the side of Fate on that defense, and we can see the burn card advantage.
Check out those burn cards, though, on the side of Exordium. We're seeing triple aggression, we're seeing double develop, so extra health, and we're seeing 2 Wrecker pickups, meaning that FrozenArtz and Mayaro will be dealing 100% extra damage to shields, although I don't agree with a pickup onto Mayaro. Mayaro running that Healing Rain build isn't going to be doing much damage, hasn't been doing much damage in previous games, and I think it's a less effective pickup on them than it would have been on perhaps the Androxus. But having said that, Androxus running Wrecker and also aggression as well.
Huge Cursed Arm comes out, but Smutney blocks it with the dome. He keeps that one lidded up. Arcos, 2 kills for himself in the meanwhile with that Tempest in the back. He gets cleaned up by Mayaro. Skillganon trying to do what he can, but he's all on his own. The rest of the team just abandoning the capture point, it seems, for these kills right now.
Oh, Skillganon netting a double kill there, saved by Smutney with a fantastic barricade as Mikaela looked to clean up that kill, is able to stay alive, Fate able to retain point control, but now they've jumped off it, they're looking to zone. They don't want to be on this capture point, as they know how much of a danger it is to be stood on there with a barrage of shots coming down from high ground. They're instead looking to get full zone control before they even think about heading back on there, chipping down the enemy and making their job a little bit easier.
But they've not really held the angles, I don't think. A huge
FrozenArtz from the
Hexafire
backside.
from the flank. FrozenArtz right behind them. The dome does get popped, but Kadun dies straight afterwards. There's no flame turret come through from that one. Mikaela, Mayaro, FrozenArtz, everyone's so low. They pick up the kills, but Unbelivable. The chicken comes through. Triple kill for him.
Unbelievable, got a triple kill. Skillganon going to pick up the 4th kill in that little skirmish right there. Unable to get those potion shots landing onto an airborne target is Unbelivable, but an unbelievable play right there secures the capture point in favor of Fate Esports, who now lead 3 points to 2 over Exordium. It's up to Exordium this time to mount a similar defense to Fate as previously demonstrated.
And if they can, we can see how the momentum can swing in such a huge favor for the defending team there. I mean, those burn cards advantage you were talking about, Vox, really come through strong.
They do, as you can purchase burn cards whilst you're on the defending team as you respawn in your home base, but the attacking team respawning at the forward spawn is actually unable to purchase them. So credits can be spent in this defending period just to secure that advantage for the defenders, but I wouldn't bet on it, as the defenders are being pushed further and further back as the payload gets closer to this gate.
And they're just losing all this high ground advantage that is so important for the defending team right now, as Fate Esports just mow through this defense, push it out. Skillganon, look at that, doesn't even care, in the face of Exordium in the spawn point.
Unable to make it out the spawn point, Fate Esports will convert the first payload conversion of this game, now leading 5 points to 2 over Exordium Esports. Exordium played well, but didn't manage to pick up this next capture point. It all depends on this next capture point, really, as to how well they're going to do. Let's take a look at the burn cards quickly.
We're seeing
a lot of develops.
Huge amount of... is that resilience?
That is indeed on the side of Exordium Esports, reducing crowd control duration by 100%. Very effective against the Freeze Eevee build, which Menschmeyer is running currently.
Why would they want to do that, folks? You know, it seems a bit over the top to go full resilience just to shut that down, surely.
Well, it's questionable, we can say, because we're seeing the Healing Rain build still run by Mayaro, still running that Wrecker, perhaps swapping out one card to Gale, which reduces crowd control duration by 100% for all allies within that Healing Totem's radius would be better, and the burn cards could have been spent differently. We've already seen Kadun picked up, but a killer's back onto Skillganon, and it's now a 4 versus 4.
It seems like it didn't matter though. Menschmeyer already goes in and picks up 1 kill of his own. Hexafire comes through from FrozenArtz. He picks up Unbelievable. That's 2 frags for the side of Exordium. Menschmeyer goes in. The ice block. Nothing happens. There's the resilience coming through. He's just going to be left on his own in a block. And the rest of the team, Exordium, taking control of this igloo point.
They are. Skillganon has respawned, but they're alone. They need to wait for the respawns to come through. But down the long lane is FrozenArtz looking to head people off at the pass. The zone is good. Skillganon's going to be headed off by Mikaela. Going to contest there for a second with reversal. This damage could be huge. No, the emitter is good. There's a Hexafire from Skillganon. They're going to pick up a double kill, but the Dome Shield is down on the point. Fate Esports are taking this back.
Triple kill there for Arcos. He goes for the Tempest, sat inside the Dome, wipes the whole team out. Skillganon with the double. Adding the triple on top from Arcos, that's a clean ace for the side of Fate Esports.
Fate Esports do retain 3 players with burn cards, not having fallen yet, but it's an even playing field as far as this is going. It's 80 points to 88, 86, 83. Fate Esports have taken the lead, but FrozenArtz manages to get back and contest for a second.
From Menschmeyer there, completely holds them off the point for a few more seconds. Gets them all so low. There's the snowstorm coming through as well. That's 4 kills. They're looking for the ace once more, and that's a double wipe coming out for them. And we saw there, since they'd wiped them all out, they freeze all of them when they come back. They've lost those burn cards.
And with the freeze coming through, that not only sets the side of Exordium Esports, or Exordium rather, up to a lot of damage from Fate, but also prevents them from contesting that capture point. So when they finally do make it on, they're so weakened that Fate just has an easy job of knocking them down as they filter in one by one. And we call that the EU Conga, ladies and gentlemen. It's where you filter in repeatedly, one by one, in what seems like a hopeless engagement. Up into the air goes Mikaela, though. Going to see a lot of damage drop down to the side of Fate, but Fate, controlling this high ground, fantastically pushed through.
So we got the EU Conga and we've got the NA Clown Fiesta, dare I say it?
NA ults, something like that.
Push is coming through, however, Fate Esports doing work inside this base. Is that another ace? That's a third ace in a row right now.
It is. And Skillganon just dives into the back of the base along with Menschmeyer just picking players off one by one. They run so fantastically as a double flanking team. Mikaela goes up into the air, but they're leading Kadun alone to actually defend here. Kadun does pop the Dome Shield, buying some time for a second, but there's a turret up on high ground just raining down damage onto the side of Exordium. Skillganon pops the Hexafire, the Dome Shield is down. They're going to pick up a triple kill. The payload is converted, and that will be game to Fate Esports.
Fate Esports wrapping that game up nicely. They finally picked up that momentum after a shaky start, and we saw Skillganon at Arcos just going mental in that game. Triple kills, double kills, the ults, the aces, all coming through, and at that point it was just all over for Exordium, just being mopped, completely wiping the floor with them. And that will take game 1 then for Fate Esports in this best of 3 series.
It will do. Taking a quick look at the brackets before we move on to the scoreboard. That is Fate Esports 1 up over Exordium. The winner will go on to face Team Question Mark in the losers round 3. On the scoreboard, let's have a quick look at all the different builds coming out and the different champion picks. How did Mikaela's famous Androxus, which we saw perform phenomenally in previous games, compare to the likes of Menschmeyer's Eevee? Because that was the flex pick there. That was the difference.
It was a great way to see that difference in compositions. But I think Menschmeyer's Eevee just had more impact. You know, we saw the last game, you know, with Mikaela. He's getting a lot of the kills, but I don't think we saw 4 burn cards picked up for 1 person on a team. I think that really is a sign of how much a player is having an impact on the game.
Well, if you want to talk about not making an impact, let's take a look at Kadun right down the bottom for Exordium there. 770 points, under half of the next lowest player in the game. 14 deaths, 5 eliminations, 0 solo kills, only 14k player damage. And you've not even got the excuse of they're not running a barrack damage build, as Smutney able to deliver 28,000 with a very, very similar build there. Something's obviously going wrong, and they've got to find out what that is and fix it before game 2 comes around. Any thoughts?
What do you think? What do you think they should really be doing here, Vox? You know, is it a instance of needing to change their composition? You know, is this Androxus just not working, or is it a matter of playstyle or builds?
Now, I think the Androxus is working fine. We do see a lot of deaths on them. I think really it comes down to playstyle, as Kadun is getting picked off time and time again. The reason they have low damage is because you deal no damage whilst you're dead. 14 deaths, the highest across the board. They actually need to be protected by their teammates, because if your barrack goes down, you've got no barricade, you've got no dome shield ultimate, and you can't keep your team safe and alive, which is so vital in this burst meta.
Yeah, needs some sort of change, that's for certain, for the side of Exordium. That'll be it for Game 1 in this best of 3 series. We're going to a short break before we head into Game 2 of Fate Esports versus Exordium in this loser side of the bracket. Stick around. Hello and welcome back everyone to this second game of the best of 3 losers bracket second round series between Fate Esports and Exordium. On the left side of the screen, of course, we have Exordium with their run back and Fate on theirs. Any differences in builds we're seeing here, Vox?
Well, of course, we can't clarify on the differences in builds just until the capture point does spawn. So if we can keep the scoreboard up just until that happens, we'll be able to see now as the players do exit their base. Arcos running that Invigorate build. Mayaro this time switching from Healing Rain to run that Invigorate build. But FrozenArtz, look here, running Proximity 4 and No Chill 4. So you increase your movement speed while dual firing by 80%. And you deal up to plus 32% damage the closer you are to an opponent. This one could be devastating.
Is that an odd build to see coming out? I know we see a lot of the gunship coming through when we saw some of the projector, but we don't often see this proximity build, do we?
Overall, it will deal more damage than the gunship build will, but if you can stay alive and stay more mobile with the gunship build a little bit better, then obviously you're going to have more damage over time. You're going to have more DPS, you're going to have more presence, and it looks like it could be working out here as Fate have taken control of the capture point.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's doing great for them though. FrozenArtz managed to stay alive, but Fate really taking advantage of that, getting loads of kills there. Menschmeyer in the background does freeze out Mikaela, trying to do what he can to him. Donavan picks that up as they trade 1-for-1. Skillganon going forwards. It's trades coming back and forth. There's a chicken coming onto 2. They're trying to get these frags. Donavan goes down, Arcos picks that one up, skillganon, and Arcos still pushing forwards with the help of Unbelivable, and point is still going in the favor of Fate throughout this whole fight.
Oh, FrozenArtz, though, does manage to get the contest off. They don't focus on the turret as they need to. They're moving around with this dual fire build quite well, but the support is here, and Fate Esports will take the first capture point. And I think a lot of that is just to do with skillganon acting as this mobile bully on Ruckus. It's devastating, but he's not running it alone, like you might see in pubs. He's running it with the support of his team very well. If he's in trouble, there's a barricade, or a healing potion from Pip, or a chicken, as we saw Unbelivable drop in that last little engagement there, and it's working out very, very well.
And we're seeing now the side of Fate starting to push up very aggressively, but they need to be careful here, I think. If they get caught out, it could spell doom for them on this push. Where Exordium setting up, however, looks like they're going for the cliffs. High ground control here seems to be important.
Now, the cliff tops, it is very important that Kadun is up there. They have got a barricade build up. Oh, but Menschmeyer with a blink into the backline does get a freeze off.
That freeze will allow him to push him off. Arcos pops the Tempest, but shut down straight away. Donavan taken very low. Menschmeyer and Smutney up on the high ground. They clean Donavan up. Menschmeyer gets FrozenArtz. There's frags going either way from that engagement, but it looks like they're just at a standoff right now. 2v2. Both teams just leave the payload alone.
I gotta agree with you there. Mikaela in a lot of trouble, does go up and contest on the top side, but is forced out by the allied Eevee coming up just to help out a little bit. Another freeze puts Donavan in a sticky situation now, and skillganon drops a Hexafire, securing no kills.
Doesn't get any kills, but he seems to do a lot of damage. Smutney taken very low. Skillganon trying to do what he can. Menschmeyer with the double kill, looking for the triple kill. He picks that one up. He's going up aggressive, looking for the quadra, but that's a shutdown. Donavan tells him no. Mikaela down, and that looks like it's a clean push.
Oh no, Donavan wasted his Evil Mojo ultimate at the end of there. Mikaela went into contest, but Donavan a little bit too slow with that Evil Mojo, isn't able to keep Mikaela alive. As a result, the Polymorph players are able just to push the payload through to conversion, as there is nobody there to stop it. 4 points up to 0 lead Fate Esports. Burn cards coming out all around. Exordium Esports picking up that resilience card again, reducing that crowd control, trying to make themselves less of a target for Eevee, but we're going to see a lot of cauterizes come out on the side of Fate. Menschmeyer about to pick up some cards. There we go. There's the develop we've been expecting. A very tanky Eevee going to be coming through.
And that Cauterize as well. Is that really the smartest of pickups here? Because, I mean, we are seeing Mayaro going for that Invigorate now, aren't we, rather than the Healing Rain. Is it still useful?
I would say yes. I mean, they still have a pip with a healing potion. They still have a totem. And a little bit of healing versus absolutely no healing. A little bit of healing is usually going to win. But Mayaro able to contest with that 10% Ghost Walk for a second. Fate taking initial point control, but quickly pushed off by Exordium.
Huge plays there from FrozenArtz as he picks up a triple kill with the Hexafire. The Dome fell in perfect timing with his own ultimate there, and he's now going really aggressive here, trying to set up a good position to hold the rest of Fate Esports off. If he's not careful though, he's all alone.
I don't agree with FrozenArtz going off in this situation. FrozenArtz assisted by Donavan perhaps, but not assisted by Mikaela going out as well. I mean, that's very precise damage, whereas to zone down this choke point where one pipped Graviton Flask can actually hit every player that comes up and dismount them all, where was the pip in that situation? It worked out okay. Exordium got the capture, but ultimately I think it could have been a bit more successful, and there's going to be a potential spawn camp coming out here.
And they also lost his burn cards on that one as well, which isn't going to be great for the side of Exordium. Fight coming out. Dome Shield does get popped. Arcos with the Tempest sweeps through. He picks up the double kill as they look to clean out the side of Exordium. Menschmeyer picks up the fourth. They're looking to take out FrozenArtz, and that's a clean ace on this payload as they start to take the control on the defense.
And if we can take a quick look at the scoreboard, please. Once again, the defending team of Fate Esports. They picked up 3 Cauterizers. They picked up a Blast Shield for skillganon, and they picked up a Chronos card for Smutny, so more barricades. And they are able to do that as the defending team, as you can go back and purchase burn cards. Obviously, this means you won't have as many for the next round, but if they can make a successful defense of it and gain that extra 400 credits, this gamble will pay off in dividends.
Yeah, and this Chronos card, as you mentioned, for Smutny on that barrack, seems to be paying off really well for them. That extra barricade ability, having it up a lot more often, really strong on that one, I think.
Now, I absolutely love Chronos as a card. I love cooldown reduction. I play a lot of barrack in my pub games, but more often I'm using the double turret build, which means that you have a turret every 10 seconds or so, and it's very, very effective against uncoordinated teams. With the barricade build, however, taking a quick look at Smutny's build as this spawn camp is coming out hard from Fate Esports, you've got Bunker 2, a barricade with 2,000 extra health, reduce the cooldown by 10 seconds. That's a tanky barricade, which you just can't break down without Wrecker pickups, and it's up very frequently.
Cursed arm came out from Mikaela there, but as you mentioned, that barricade, the extra cooldown doing work, gets it up just in time, blocks out the cursed arm. Mikaela gets taken down, too aggressive there. They're all pushing forwards, but the side of Fate Esports goes in. There's the freeze, double kill for them. Snowstorm comes through, that's the ace.
Mikaela, having respawned again, is going to have to wait for the respawns for the rest of their team to come through. But there's only 39 seconds left. There's 35 seconds left on the clock. The payload is fully spawn camped at this point. There's no way that Exordium can push out unless they get an ace here. It's all or nothing for Exordium, as a successful defense here will push Fate Esports to 5 points to 2 and with a 400 credit advantage.
And what can Exordium really do here, Vox? They've 2-man drop on the back as well. skillganon takes down FrozenArtz. And that looks like it's just going to put the final nail in the coffin there for this round for Exordium. And this is going to be rough for the next round.
I mean, you got to group up. You got to stop the EU Conga. You got to push with your barrack. You got to push with your shield and make sure that you're covering your backside so you don't get flanked. I mean, overtime will tick around for a little while here as the respawns for the attacking team are in so close of a proximity to the payload at this point that I eat my words as skillganon finishes up with a triple kill.
And I mean, this is just rough for Exordium, being farmed almost consistently like that. Look at the streaks on the side of Fate. That is disgusting to see. And they have got to have one hell of a bankrolling right now.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Look at that. Aggression cards being picked up for skillganon and Arcos on that Invigorate Grok. That's going to be a lot of damage. Actually seeing an Invigorate on that Grok, which is an interesting pickup when they could be running Gale instead. But this should be 3 burn cards for everybody across the side of Fate. And indeed it is. Whereas Exordium able to pick up a couple of Blast Shields, able to pick up a couple of Havens, a couple of Resiliences, and 1 Cauterize on Mikaela. This is going to be tough for Exordium Esports. Will they be able to pull it back and gain another capture point, keep themselves in the game? Let's find out.
Let's find out indeed as the push comes through. Mayaro with a huge Tempest Shuts down Smutny just before the dome goes down. Dome for the side of Exordium was down as well, but that was also shut down. Hexafire coming through from skillganon, picks up one. He's looking for another. That's a double kill. Arcos in the back, meanwhile, picks up 2 of his own. And that is an ace again for the side of Fate Esports.
Fate are just rolling over Exordium right now. They didn't perhaps find their stride as well in game 1, but right now the points are 5-2 in favor of Fate. They have full point control. They've left one ally on the capture point, the rest of them going off to zone and just farm these kills at this point. I don't see Exordium making their way back onto the point without a lot of coordination, but they're splitting up. It's FrozenArtz versus an Eevee, and that's going to go in favor of the Eevee, not the Ruckus there.
That's a bit of an odd situation to see an Eevee winning a 1v1, but Menschmeyer manages to take it. FrozenArtz goes down. We saw the chicken pops. Turret takes out Mikaela. The objective already lost. Kadun too late to the party. Smutny picks up a second, and Arcos cleans that up.
And this could be set point. In fact, it is set point right here. Only the payload conversion needing to be pushed through for Fate Esports to take game 2 of this best of 3 versus Exordium and go on in the finals to face off against the loser of the semi-finals on the top side of this bracket.
And who do Exordium need to focus here? They need to have a focus. Who would you say it is on this defense? They need to shut someone down here.
They need to shut everybody down as the burn card advantage is on everybody besides Smutny right now, and Smutny isn't who I'd be focusing. They're getting flanked by an Eevee, they're getting flanked by a Ruckus, and they need to better respond to this and better recover from it. But they're grouping up, and the gunship Ruckus on the side of skillganon is just mowing through them one by one.
And that's 3 kills for the side of Fate Esports from that freeze. There goes Kadun, Donavan on his own, last man standing. He gets cleaned up. That's an ace. 2 whole minutes left, and skillganon once more. He's in the face of that base, holding them at bay. They're going to push forwards. Triple kill comes through on the side of Fate, and that is the game. 2-0. Fate Esports knock Exordium out and move forwards to the next part of the tournament.
And what a dominant game indeed that was for the side of Fate Esports, really coming back from perhaps the deficit which we've seen in the past few games to show that they are not to be taken lightly and they will be pushing through to the next game. In the post-match scoreboard, devastating. Almost double across the board. In fact, double across the board in terms of scores were Fate over Exordium. So many deaths on the side of Exordium, and look at all the kills and eliminations picked up for Fate.
I want to just point out, like, that proximity build, I was worried about it in the start, and it seems like it didn't really pay out as much as the side of Exordium were hoping.
So let's analyze that. I mean, you're less mobile if you're not running gunship, and if you've got less mobility, you're an easier target to focus. Ruckus is so devastating and so much of an issue that players will focus them down if they're immobile. And yes, whilst you've got plus 80% movement speed, or increase your movement speed, whilst dual firing by 80% with the card No Chill 4, I mean, you're not running that much of a you're only running Warden 1, only increasing the health of Emitter's shield by 250. You're not massively tanky. You're a slow, immobile target. You're not mobile whilst dealing all this damage. And you can see the most deaths in the game on FrozenArtz. And also, I want to point out FrozenArtz playstyle. They went off the flank alone many times and got punished for it.
Yeah, those sound like very conflicting things, you know. You're going for a build that is less mobile, does more damage. You'd expect you to be with your team more often so they can defend you, right? But as you mentioned,
Right.
He was going off and flanking all the time like a gunship Ruckus.
Absolutely, and I would have expected to see Mikaela actually accompany FrozenArtz there, as that Ruckus and Androxus duo has been proven time and time again to be an extremely flanking duo. Now, we can't not give credit to the side of Exordium. We see a couple of high scores going across there. In fact, FrozenArtz, despite having 16 deaths, does have 988 points, the highest on their team. Donavan with 42k player damage, actually contesting with everybody, beating out everybody on the side of Fate, except Unbelivable on that Pip, who really had free reign of the match. And comparatively, once again, Kadun on this barrack, just a non-factor entirely.
And who will Fate be going up against next, Fox? I think it's, I don't actually know have you seen any of the scores on the side of the brackets?
I do indeed. I have the brackets right up in front of me. The semi-finals have been played. That was match 6 in this bracket set. Team Question Mark were beaten out by District 69. The score was 2-1 in favor of D69. So it will be Team Question Mark versus Fate Esports as the next game we spectate. It's going to be a biggie. The next one goes into the finals. Who are you expecting to see there, Tattle?
I mean, I'm expecting to see that TQM D69 matchup once more that we just saw play out in the semi-finals into the finals. Fate Esports, though, they're warmed up. They've been playing their way through the brackets. It's been a hard slog for them, for sure. But being that warmed up, that prepared, I wouldn't put it against them to maybe take another series, push themselves through to the finals.
They could come through as the real underdogs of this tournament and once again make it through to this set of finals. We'll be checking that out in just a moment. The next game will, of course, be Question Mark versus Fate Esports. Any closing words, Tattle?
I mean, I'm just looking forward to more games, more action, more kills. I want to see a pentakill. We've seen quite a few quadras so far this series. A penta would make my day so far. Anyway, this will be it for this series. Fate Esports taking that one and moving through, knocking out Exordium. Next game coming up shortly is Fate versus D69. Don't go anywhere.